Okay, my name is Andy Smith, and I am a 5A music teacher at the Charlotte Central School, instrumental and general music. And the tactic I chose to use was four-way thinking, and it was mostly for listening critically to music, and it really addressed, I thought, the standards of listening and analyzing and describing music, evaluating music and music performances, understanding relationships between music and other arts and disciplines outside the arts, and finally understanding music in relation to history and culture. And we have done things like this in the past, but what I was trying to do is get the students to go deeper, which this tool allowed us to do. And what I mean that is, as we looked at our listening wall, we had different dynamic terms and expressive terms, etc. I wanted the students to be able to apply those to music, whether they liked the music or not. And there were times when I intentionally chose music that I thought would be a little hard on their ears, just to get their ideas. What I like about this also is it's pretty much what you hear. So there really is no incorrect answer. It's what you hear, and it's what you like and why you like it. And we could have a different opinion, but we both could be correct. That was a bit of a stumbling block for some students who were very conscientious. They wanted to make sure they got the right answer. And so that was fun to let them know there's freedom in this. And in the past, I've actually outlined the terms for them, and they had to just circle. Yeah, it's evident, it's somewhat evident, etc. But I felt like that was not giving them the full experience to be able to express how they felt using the words. And I wanted them to be able to speak intelligently about music or anything. An analogy I used with the general music class a lot was, if you tell me that the Chicago Cubs stink, that doesn't tell me anything. Why do they stink? Oh, because they're horrible. Why are they horrible? I wanted them to go deeper. Well, they can't pitch, they can't hit. Okay, there we're getting somewhere, whether we liked it or not. So how can we go deeper and speak the language and speak the musical language? Because a lot of it is just vocabulary. We like to do it frequently. Part of, I'm thinking a lot about general music, it's because it's where we applied it mostly. There was a lot of routine. Although our activities varied and our lessons varied, there was a certain routine about coming in, and the kids actually looked forward to it. And I think it did help them practice. And one thing that I noticed was, at first, kids were a little more reserved about their answers. Because, you can pass, or you can tell me what you want to say. If you want to pass, you can pass. Or you wrote something, just one word. One of the, there's some choices on the sheet. And I felt like some kids were relatively conservative, waiting to see what somebody else said. And again, maybe they're afraid of being wrong or afraid of being embarrassed. However, as it grew, and as we did it more and more, I think they became more confident with the tool, and more confident that it's their idea and it's what they heard. For instance, we listened to a beautiful, in my opinion, ballad, a cappella, Scottish, sad, long story song, and one male voice a cappella. And I wanted to throw it on this class just to, again, shake it up a little bit. And several of the kids, we would do a fist of five at the end, fist of five. Five, I loved it, fist, I hate it, anything in between, just to get a snapshot of the class. And then we get into going over our reflection. And that one got pretty low marks, which I kind of expected. And I was curious as to why. And again, that's okay, because I don't expect them to like it. I want them to be able to tell me why they don't like it. Or what is it? Can they identify what it is that just doesn't sit well with them? One little girl who sat over here said, I actually loved it. I can't imagine the man has a beautiful voice and standing there all by himself on the stage. Can you imagine? It was a live recording. She goes, it kept the pitch. And she really heard it in a different way. It was comfortable enough to say, with a group of people that really didn't like it, I like it. And I think that had that been a one-time deal, she probably would have been a little more conservative and just like, I don't really like it. But I think she was comfortable with the language and the tool by that time. I think it's practice. Yes, I think there was definitely a benefit. And some of that I realized, I surveyed the kids just a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, was 3 simple questions. Was this form helpful? If so, how was it helpful? And if you could change something about this form, what would it be? And I was very pleased with the feedback. And again, open to any feedback. I really wanted to know. I wanted to know if this was accomplishing what we wanted it to accomplish. what the students' feedback was that they were able to break the music down into sections and organize their thoughts about it, and they really liked that. They said, I wasn't just randomly trying to remember what I heard. I was able to chart out what I heard, and then when we had our discussion, be able to refer to some specific terms, and it really helped me just organize how to listen to the music in a more analytical way. I wanted to get feedback about this tool to see how it worked for the kids and see if it accomplished some of the goals that I had hoped it would. So I developed a very quick survey, scrap paper, just ideas for kids. Oh, and by the way, I kept all these in a portfolio too, so they can listen back, or they can look back at their work and remember what we had done. So they'll all get these sheets back. The questions again were, did you find this tool helpful? If so, how? And if you could change something, what would you change? And they're all relatively positive. I'm not just reading the positive ones, but some of the good ideas too. This child just sort of summarized the whole thing. I think this was great. We could all express how we felt without feeling pressure. And I really like that, without feeling pressure, because I think we can think a lot better when we have a relaxed brain and we don't feel tense. We get our whole. This one I really liked. And I like the suggestion. I would add the different tempos, timbre, dynamics, and expressions on the sheet, meaning on the actual tool. Now we have it on a wall, like a key. I thought, what a brilliant idea. Won't that make it easier? Especially since I put the listening wall way up high where nobody could see it anyway. But I thought that was brilliant. A quick side note, and it goes on like this, and I'm happy to share whatever if people want to email me or anything. The other thing this tool allowed us to do is to explore and highlight different musical careers. And I think this year alone, we were able to take a look and celebrate the life and music of Ravi Shankar, Dave Brubeck, Richie Havens, and introduce these kids to some of this music and some stories about some of these people. Ray Manzarek most recently. We can celebrate birthdays of classical composers, or be it or Bob Dylan, or whatever the genre is. So it's a great tool, I think, to bring some of those examples of the national standards in. How does that relate, and what was that music like? And we also talked a lot about, just when listening, a perspective of what music was like before this particular song or artist, which I think is a key component to listening. We could listen to Beethoven and say, I've heard this song a million times, and my grandmother listens to this. But thinking about what it was like before Beethoven gives it a whole new perspective. Now, wow, think about that, would blow your mind. And so we were able to have those kind of conversations as well, and very engaging conversations. So I think it was a success overall, and I look forward to adjusting it and continuing with this practice.